The clock is ticking. We're less than a week away from some major NBA extension candidates, Luka Doncic being one of those with Los Angeles. Will he be a Laker for the long term? And what's going on with Nikola Jokic and Denver? We're going to have that and a whole lot more, a free agency update as well. Welcome into Heart of Hoops, Ryan Breeden and Jace Andrews. It's been kind of that point of the offseason now where it feels like everything in free agency has died down. But that's kind of a lull before we reach August 2nd. That'll be an important day in the NBA, Jace. Luka Doncic will be eligible for an extension in Los Angeles.
Yeah, Luka staying in LA is an interesting topic. I'm not so sure that he wants to sign an extension just because of what happened in Dallas. Obviously, it's a different situation now without Nico Harrison involved, but the NBA is such a fluid sport, and you're kind of right. We're at a bit of a lull, but there's some free agents still out there, and Luka will be the talk of the town come August 2nd, but don't forget about De'Aaron Fox, who's, I believe, on August 3rd, that could potentially sign that extension with the San Antonio Spurs. So, two guys who got traded this year that could easily could be locked down with their new teams for some long-term contracts.
Yeah, so a couple of details with Luka. Obviously was traded during the middle of the season last year in that blockbuster trade. I think he's going to stay long-term in Los Angeles, but there's a way that he can do this to maximize the amount of money that he's eligible for. He could sign a 4-year, $222 million extension, but if he were to go a little bit shorter and go with a 3-year contract instead, he would make only $160 million with a player option in 2028-29. But if he were to take 1 year off, once he reaches his 10th year of service in the NBA, he would be eligible for a supermax contract with the Los Angeles Lakers, 5 years, nearly $400 million. So if he were to go that route, if he signs a 3-year deal, Jace, on August 2nd or August 3rd or August 4th, that tells you, and that tells me, that Luka Doncic wants to be a Laker for the rest of his career. Because if he does that, he is looking at the long term rather than the short term, saying instead of maximizing my money right now, I'm going to take a slightly shorter deal, bet on this supermax contract down the road, and if I take this route, I'm going to be in Los Angeles for the entire prime of my career, and I'm going to be with the Lakers, if not until I retire, at least into the early to mid 2030s.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a Michael Jordan situation if he left the Lakers at that point. He'd be playing like with Michael Jordan's Wizard time. It'd be late time in his career, but I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. If we see that 3-year contract, it's probably a long-term idea for Luka, but I think you also have to look at the long-term for the Lakers at that point because we know that, I mean, in my opinion, I think a lot of people's opinions, Nico Harrison messed up by trading Luka Doncic. I don't believe that was the right move. Whether he wants to say all this stuff or not, I don't care. He got on the first-round pick. It doesn't matter. But if the Lakers do offer that 3-year deal, do go with that, and Luka does accept that, it's not only the truth of the matter for Luka, but it's also for the Lakers and their plans for the future.
So you're saying if Luka goes the Michael Jordan route, he's going to be playing for the Los Angeles Dodgers in like 2033?
I mean, Los Angeles Dodgers or something in Slovenia or Lithuania, wherever he's from. So,
I mean, that far in time, Luka Doncic might be all that the Dodgers can afford with what they've done with all their deferred money. They might have to grab Luka Doncic.
Congratulations! In 2040, the Los Angeles Dodgers are playing Shohei Ohtani and Luka Doncic. Congratulations, guys!
That's all they have, and then they've got minor league guys.
There's going to be an MLB cap hit by that time too. Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, they're going to be in trouble. But no, I think that Luka's best course of action is to stay in LA for his career. I think he was meant to be there, clearly, whether it be through Nico's stupidity or just the power it be in the NBA. So that seems the best course of action for him. You mentioned De'Aaron Fox with the Spurs. I think it'll be kind of an interesting dynamic there because the Spurs very clearly are building around Wemby. You've gotten your young pieces these last few years in the draft. Do you want to extend somebody that probably won't fit into that title window? Now, the Spurs, they're going to be contenders even in the next 2 years and from then on, as long as Wemby's on the roster. But does De'Aaron Fox fit their title window? That's the question.
I think maybe even to add on to that, do they fit the Western Conference title window? Because as of right now, the Western Conference is going to win the next 4 NBA finals for whoever comes out of it. And for that reason, obviously, Wemby is still very young. They have a lot of young draft picks. Obviously, getting the number 2 overall pick, I'm a Baylor guy. I believe Jeremy Sohan is going to be pretty good given his time. I don't think they would give that to Fox just out of the plain fact that, like you said, he doesn't fit the title window for them in some aspects. But if they're trying to build for the future, I think in some ways you have to use these 2 years as like, we're not going to be the best team in the Western Conference. That's just plain facts. Now, in a year from now, when Wemby is, played hopefully a full season, the blood clot's gone away, they're able to kind of get these draft picks that they've gotten into a better position. Yeah, I would say, 2-3 years from now, we don't know what's going to happen with Nikola Jokic that we'll talk about in a second. We don't know what's going to happen with, obviously the Thunder look like they're built to last. They look like we're going to see a lot from the Timberwolves. They really pursued Kevin Durant and the Rockets. What are they doing? So for right now, these next 2 years seem to be pretty hard cut for the Western Conference, whereas past that, it would open up a little bit more flexibility, and they could use that money that they would extend De'Aaron Fox for maybe someone that is a little bit younger and fits their timeline then.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to sign with the Spurs. I mean, he'll be eligible. I think that it's one thing is very clear. You mentioned Nikola Jokic. I still say he's the best player in the NBA, most valuable player in the NBA. He is eligible for a contract extension this offseason, but it has become clear, and this has been known for the last month. He's not going to sign a contract extension this offseason, and he's going to wait. They're going to have those conversations next month. But there's been some drama on both sides of this. Over the last month that we've had free agency open up, we obviously had the conversations with Denver's front office in a press conference where, it essentially was said that he could be on the table to be traded in the future. So is that something that would happen with Jokic and the Nuggets? I don't know. They aren't going to be in the second apron yet this year, but they're aggressively trying to win right now, and we know that for a fact. So his contract, he signed a 5-year deal back in 2023. He wouldn't be a free agent until 2028. At that point, he'd be 33 years old. But would the Nuggets ever be willing to trade Nikola Jokic? I'm not sure. It's not going to happen this year. The Nuggets are going to be contenders, strong contenders to win an NBA championship with their moves they made this offseason. Would they try to move on from him next year or the year after that? It's possible. He's going to make $55 million this year. He'll make $60 million the year after that. But there is some drama on both sides of this thing here. And Jokic clearly, he's not satisfied with the idea of signing a contract extension now. So the question would be, will he do it next year? Is there going to be any other timeline? Will the Nuggets be willing to trade? I mean, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. It's an interesting situation because if you look at the way that the Nuggets have handled this, it would be a frustrating thing for me if I was Nikola Jokic. I understand, I didn't sign the contract. I'm still eligible to get one next year. I didn't say I don't want to play here flat out. I just didn't accept it this time. Now, after that, you made some aggressive moves. You made some very good moves. You got rid of MPJ. You brought in Cam Johnson. You, made an improvement from last year where you were a game away from taking out the ultimate NBA champion. But being brought up in that press conference, unprompted too. I mean, it wasn't like somebody asked about Jokic being on the table. No, the GM just flat out said it. And that organization has just kind of made some interesting moves to me. Malone, I don't believe, should have been fired in the time that he was fired. I question a lot of what's going on with that organization. However, I do want to throw this out there just because it's the funniest thing ever. Nikola Jokic is not the biggest fan of playing basketball. This guy has made a ton of freaking money. What's to say next year he says, I got some horses at home, actually. Now, that's very unlikely, but, it's on the table. I think what ultimately happens is he probably does end up signing next season because of the moves they made this offseason, but I'm willing to wait and play this one out because I wouldn't be surprised if he left, but I would be more on the side if he'll stay in Denver.
Yeah, the earliest he could become a free agent would be after the 2027 season. I think it's a player option, but what seems more likely in my eyes, he's eligible for a 3-year contract extension right now. But if he waits until next year, he's eligible for a 4-year contract extension. Gives him an extra year of security on the back end of the deal. He'll be into his 30s at that point. It would give him an extra
money on that? What's the difference in monetary value on that?
So it would give him an extra $81 million in total value, along with the extra year of security. Yeah. So if he were to sign that, he would be, 30. He'd be 35. No, he'd be 36.
I was about to say, 37, right?
36, 37 years old by the time that contract were to expire. So at that point, you will have exhausted every bit of Nikola Jokic. And the Nuggets are still in their title window right now. And it was very clear that even though it's an unorthodox situation with the front office, they're kind of splitting duties over there between multiple people. They, like you said, fired their coach right before the playoffs. I don't know, that wasn't in my opinion, I don't know why they did that, but I think it's going to work out fine. They were aggressive in free agency. I would say right there with Houston, probably the most aggressive team in free agency this year.
Yeah, it's probably them in Atlanta. Atlanta was really aggressive as well.
Yeah, Orlando did some things in the Eastern Conference, and so like there's some teams that made some moves, but it was very clear that the Houston Rockets weren't afraid to make trades and spend money, and it was very clear the Denver Nuggets weren't afraid to do the same thing.
And you know who is afraid? Seems like the Chicago Bulls might be, because Josh Giddey is a little bit upset to this point. I mean, he was supposed to. It was written in stone that he was going to get that contract with the Bulls, and we're sitting here. It's nearly August, and it's getting a little dicey all of a sudden.
Yeah, so he's eligible. I think he's a restricted free agent now.
I believe he's restricted, and the whole plan was to re-sign with the Bulls, because there was talks about him going away, and like that's potential still right now, but it hasn't gotten done, and he's been frustrated with the front office, and Giddey wants a good amount of money, which this is where I think our opinion comes in. Does he deserve like a good amount of money, or is he just more of a role player? Like, you obviously watched him with the Thunder, so it's an interesting situation.
So the amount of money that he's wanting, he's reportedly wanting $30 million a year, and it seems like the hang-up is that Chicago is not sure that it wants to allocate $30 million annually to somebody like Josh Giddey. He's a great player. I don't think he will ever be a reliable first or second scoring option.
There it is. Yeah.
I think he's a good facilitator. I think that he kind of is what he is. I think he's probably pretty close to his cap for
he's good,
points
not
per
great.
game. For production. I mean, he went to Chicago, and in his first year, he averaged 14.5 points a game. Like, that's good, but I don't think Josh Giddey's capable of doing much more than that. I don't think he can be a first option scorer. He doesn't have enough in his offensive arsenal. He doesn't have enough in his bag to go get you 20 to 25 points a game throughout an entire season. He'll have great performances. He's going to do his thing, getting players involved. Averaged 7 assists a game last year. That's fantastic, right? He averaged over 1 steal per game last year. So he's going to be active even defensively. He's got some good size. You know, he's 6'8". Like, that is massive for a guard, especially a facilitating guard. So he's a unique player, and he has a unique skill set, and there's definitely a role for him on a team. I'm not sure that there's a role for him on a competing team, and I'm not
sure. $30 million.
Right, and I'm not sure that he's worth $30 million. So either the Bulls are going to have to cave to that, or Josh Giddey is going to have to be willing to accept a little bit less amount of money. Now, the thing that Josh Giddey has in his favor, he's young, right? So he's going to be slightly overvalued for what he probably is worth. 22 years old, and he has all the time in the world to try to maybe prove some things to these teams. This might be a situation, Jace, where he has to accept a slightly smaller contract, maybe take a couple less years on his potential extension, and just say, I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to take $22 million a year for the next 2 years, and I'm going to show you that I'm an all-star caliber player. And if he does that, then boom, he's going to be making well north of $30 million a year. But if not, I mean, that's going to be the type of player that he is. So yes, he's frustrated. Yes, there's been some hangups and all that. I think he'll probably sign with Chicago, but I don't think he's going to get $30 million. I don't know that Josh Giddey is worth that yet. He is a good point guard, but he is not an elite scorer in any facet. And you mentioned watching him with the Thunder. His skill set with that team, it kind of held the team back a little bit. And so when you traded him away, it opened up your offense. Josh Giddey, he was a primary ball handler, but you put him with SGA and it doesn't work, right? Josh, he's a primary ball handler that doesn't have the scoring arsenal to be the guy on a team. So he'll have a role. He's young. He's going to have a long career. He might even be an all-star a couple times, but he's frustrated. He's going to have to just bite the humble pie and accept a slightly cheaper deal, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's a bet on yourself deal. I mean, $30 million is not what he's going to get. I don't know why in the first place he expected that. I don't know if his agent told him, but that's just not what Josh Giddey is worth. And honestly, I think that's that. I don't think there's really much to say besides, dude, you're not worth that money. I would stop expecting it. And then
yeah. So again, it'll be August 2nd. That's next Tuesday. Or wait,
it's a week after Tuesday.
Not yeah, it'll be a week. Yeah, so it'll be next. So a little over a week away from August 2nd when Luka Doncic can sign his deal. Day after that will be when De'Aaron Fox is eligible to sign his. Nikola Jokic, it's going to be a wait and see.
It's on the table for him now, but he's not going to sign it.
It's on the table now, but he's not going to sign it now. We'll see how things go in Denver this year. I would anticipate he will be offered the 4-year max extension next year. Josh Giddey, we'll find out what he does. But I think next week is when we'll start to see more things ramp back up again with NBA news because we're at the low point right now, but we're going to have some more news soon. We'll have Luka Doncic extension talks and all those other things. So, I think that kind of sums it up. But
that segues into the best part. Hit that subscribe button because we have a bunch of stuff coming up with NBA news. Obviously, with the season coming up, there's a lot to do. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. And before we go, a little happy birthday to my co-host Ryan. If you're watching it on Saturday, it's his birthday. So in the comments, if you're still watching, type HBD for him. But yeah, I appreciate every single one of you watching. More videos to come. We'll see you next time here on Heart of Hoops. Peace out, guys.